Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, playfastfootball.blogspot.com. And today we're going to talk a little bit about placing conflict on defenders. First of all, just want to thank everybody for checking us out. We're over 53,000 views now since January, so in about 7 months we've got over 53,000 views and upwards of close to 500 people on the YouTube page. So just want to thank everybody for checking the website out, listening to some of the things we're talking about, some of the things we're doing here, and I've had a lot of great responses from people, a lot of emails, a lot of posts on some of the videos that we've done, and it seems like we're really getting some good responses. So I'd like to take this thing a little bit further. I'd like to figure out what the next step is and how we can make this thing a little bit better, but so far it seems to be going really good, and I appreciate it. Haven't done one in a couple of weeks here because we've been in the first 2 weeks of our practice for camp. We opened up about 2 weeks ago, and now we're actually in our first preseason game week starting tomorrow. So had a lot of things going on as far as first 2 weeks of practice, first week of school, paperwork, just going through all the normal things that high school head football coaches have to go through in the first 2 weeks. So it's been a little bit hectic. So I'd like to start today just talking a little bit about conflicting defenders, placing a conflict on a defender, and what the growing trend seems to be in high school, college, and now NFL football. One of the hot topics seems to be, one of the things you're reading a lot about now and you're seeing is packaging plays. And packaging plays is combining runs and passes with options that the quarterback can make at the line of scrimmage. It might have 1 or 2 options in it. Some package plays have 3 options in it. And basically what it is, it's giving the quarterback and the offensive coordinator a chance to run some things based on the numbers in the box or the leverage of defenders or depth of defenders off the ball. And offensive coordinators are finding and coming up with some really interesting and great ways to place a lot of pressure on the defense by calling one play in a hurry up or a up-tempo, no-huddle style offense. They're calling one play with 2 to 3 different options off of it. And then the quarterback's able to make his determination based on numbers, leverage, angles, fronts, coverages, blitzes, and he's able to, bring the football or put the football in 2 to 3 different players' hands, possibly his own hands, based on what they think they're getting from the defense. And really in essence what it's coming down to is it's getting to a point where you're trying to place conflict within your scheme on certain defenders. Usually you want to identify, for us in high school, what we try and do is we try and narrow it down to where we're trying to identify at least one defender that's in conflict and, the different things that we would like to try and do to place conflict on that defender. And then the plays we'd like to run off of that, after we solicit whatever the response is we think we're going to get from that defender. And then after we watch film and we see how certain defenders want to play certain schemes, then we can kind of get an idea of the things we would like to do to run off of the responses we're getting from those defenders. So, today I'm going to talk a little bit, I'm going to focus kind of on putting pressure on a 5-technique defensive end and the different ways that you can attack a 5-technique defensive end and put pressure on that defensive end by soliciting different responses from him based on the block recs you give in front of him, and then based on how he wants to react to those block recs, the different things you can do to kind of take advantage of the play of that 5 technique. And really what it's come down to is it's kind of attacking a defense based on the way they want to play football. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to take what the defense does and how that defensive coordinator likes to teach his guys to play football, and then we're trying to attack that very structure of play that we think is an every down response to certain blocks, certain formations, certain schemes. So in a way what we're trying to do is we're trying to use an up-tempo, no-huddle system, okay, to attack what the defense wants to do within their own structure. And by giving our kids a couple options here or there, we can make it difficult on some of those defenders and put the conflict on them, and then hopefully have some plays that are either packaged or built off of what the response is from those defenders so that we can get ourselves some good plays. All right, so the first thing I've got drawn up here is just a 2x1, 21 spread set for us. Okay, and the first thing we're going to talk about is the response of a defender or a defensive end off of a down block and trying to find out what type of player he is. Okay, so first thing I'm going to put up on the board is just a power read, outside zone sweep concept. All right, trying to solicit a response from the 5 technique to figure out, all right, what his response is off of a certain block and what we would like to do, all right, off of that response. So if we start off with just a generic power play, all right, we're going to gap down and double on the front side and work back. We're going to block back here. We're going to hinge on the B gap. We're going to pull backside guard up for the front side inside linebacker. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this fullback and we're going to bring him wide. All right, he's going to come up and he's going to seal for the Mike linebacker in case he wants to run. All right, we're going to go ahead and try and get a hat on the outside linebacker. Going to try and get a hat on the corner there. Okay, and then we are going to bring our tailback flat, full speed across the quarterback's face. Okay, we'll try and cut off on the backside there. And we're going to bring our tailback flat across the quarterback's face. And we're going to try and read the response of the C-gap 5 technique defender. Okay, so first thing we want to look at, is he a bender off of a down block? Is he a block down, step down guy? Will he react hard inside off of down blocks and try and squeeze? Okay, if he is a guy that will react hard off of down blocks and try and squeeze, then that's a guy that we would like to try and get the ball to the perimeter off of based off his response on a down block. All right, so we feel like if we can get him to bend and squeeze off a down block, we can get the ball to the perimeter, all right, by reading him, making him squeeze, by giving him the block we think that'll make him squeeze, and then by him squeezing inside, now we can get the ball to the perimeter. Now that we've got the ball to the perimeter, now we can pressure the back level players, all right, and try and figure out what their response is to perimeter runs, okay, so we can set up our next conflict, all right, depending on how safeties or corners want to play the run and the style of run support that they play. Okay, so the first play starts off as a power read concept, trying to base it off of what the 5 technique wants to do off of down blocks. Okay, so we give the 5 technique a hard down block, see if he wants to squeeze. Okay, if he wants to squeeze, now we know that we should be able to get the ball to our athletes to the perimeter and now put the pressure on their support system. Does the Mike want to run? Does the Sam linebacker fit hard? Is the Sam linebacker outside playing more of a robber concept to where he won't let the ball outside? Where does the free safety want to fit? How good is the free safety? Okay, so we started off there, all right, and we're going to try and get a response from the 5 technique. Okay, now, if the 5 technique, here's where the packaging part of the plays comes in, or the read part of the plays comes in. Okay, if the 5 technique defender is somebody who's an up-the-field player and he doesn't want to squeeze off of down blocks, well, now in this particular theory, we would pull the ball, all right, and our quarterback would have the option to run quarterback power, okay, right back up inside if he is a up-the-field wide player or a box defensive end that doesn't let anything outside of him, so even when he gets a down block, he stays wide and tries to fit up the outside zone part of that play. Okay, so within that play, we've got it built in 2 different ways to solicit a response off that end. If he's a squeeze player, the ball gets to the perimeter. If he is a sit or an up-the-field player, then we can get the quarterback on the power. Now, if he is a sit or an up-the-field player, okay, all right, and we know that he's not going to let the ball wide, well, then what we need to do is we need to take advantage of that response off the down block, okay, and now we need to go ahead and just run pure power systems where we just go ahead and kick him out, and now we run the quarterback power because we know he's not going to squeeze off the down block. We know he's an up-the-field guy. So if he's an up-the-field guy, now we want to do things that go underneath, okay, and kick him out and or maybe base block him or do the things we want to do to keep him wide and run the ball up underneath that. Okay, so the power read concept is a way that you can elicit a response from a 5 technique defender, all right, and then once you get the response from that 5 technique defender, and now you know what his response is, okay, now you can choose accordingly within your offense the types of plays you would like to run off of that response, okay. The next thing that we can do, okay, again, if we're getting what we think is a hard bend player, block down, step down player, is now you can use his own technique against him, okay, and because he wants to be a hard bend squeeze player, block down, step down, now what you can do is you can run, all right, some version of a sweep, all right, or an old-fashioned buck sweep type play, okay, where now what you can do is if you think he's a block down squeeze player, all right, now what you can do is you can go ahead and block down, all right, let him squeeze. Let him step down, physically step down off of the down block. In other words, when he gets a down block, he's going to try and squeeze it and bend and step down. All right? Well, if you know that he's that type of player, now what you can do is you can elicit that response from him by giving him a down block. Now that you give him the down block, you can take the fullback and seal him and pin him inside. All right? Because you know off a down block, off of the film you studied, off the first couple plays you run, you know that he's a squeeze player. You know that he's a block down, step down guy. Okay? So now give him that block. Let him squeeze. Play off of his technique. Okay? Use the things that he's been taught against him and to your advantage. So now put the fullback on the edge right here. Okay? Go ahead and take the slot and bring him down to take the mic when he runs because you've lost the fullback, all right, on the mic because you put the fullback on the end. All right, depending on the front that you get, take your guard and get him out there. Take your backside guard, get him up in there, and now give yourself an old-fashioned sweep or an old-fashioned buck sweep play. Okay, to where you can, all right, again, elicit the response of that defender, all right, and use his technique against him. And instead of running a packaged read play for the quarterback, go ahead and build a give or a sweep into the tailback, knowing that you can get the end pin because he's a block down, step down guy, which will make it easy for your fullback to seal. All right, so now based off of his squeeze, aggressive block down, step down technique, now you've got two ways. All right, you've got a read package play, and then you've got a true sweep play, all right, built in where you can solicit the response you want out of the 5 technique. All right, and then once you get that response from the 5 technique, now you can build plays around it. Okay? Another thing you can do, all right, another thing you can do in a scheme like that with your lineman is you can go ahead and package a play or read a play. You can run some type of G sweep, and now instead of blocking back, put your center up to the will, okay? And now you can take the pressure on this backside 1 technique. Go ahead and pull a guard in front of him, leave him unblocked, get the center up to try and seal for the will, okay? Get the center up and try and seal for the will, and now let your quarterback read the backside 1 technique. All right, so as the running back goes across to run G sweep, you're going to leave that 1 technique unblocked. If the 1 technique gets in the hip of the guard and tries to run with the guard, well, now you might be able to take your quarterback here and get your quarterback out the back door. All right, and you get your quarterback out the backside there. All right, to where if that guy is somebody who wants to run with the puller, maybe try and go over the top and vacate, now you can get your quarterback back inside, all right, and get yourself a read package off a backside 1 technique off that same G sweep. Okay, so that would be, all right, trying to solicit a response from a 1 technique on a pull to see if he's going to try and get skinny and in the hip pocket of the pull, all right, and see what he does so that now, all right, you can get yourself up to the will linebacker, run your G sweep, leave the 1 technique alone on the backside, see what he does. All right, a simple kind of a midline style theory, okay, a midline style theory there, all right, based off of what the 1 technique wants to do, giving the 1 technique a hard pull in front of him, seeing if he's a guy that wants to get in his hip pocket or maybe he tries to hump the center. Either way, if he's a guy that wants to go with the guard and he's just not going to stay backside up the field, okay, now you've got it to where possibly your quarterback can read the backside here. 1 technique vacates with the sweep. Now your quarterback can run some type of midline keep. Okay, you can solicit a response based on the coverage or what you think you're getting. All right, you can solicit a response off the will linebacker. Okay, you can still block back on the 1 here. Okay, and you can maybe on the backside have it built in to where maybe you're running some type of underneath. All right, drag, snag, spot route, and now you're going to run the G sweep theory and you're going to see what the will wants to do, okay, and if the will is a runner, all right, and it may not be out of this formation, it may be out of a different formation, a different set, but just in theory, all right, now we're talking about theories of conflicting defenders, all right, and putting defenders in a little bit of a problem, all right, Now, if the will becomes a runner, you can take a receiver and put him back here. Your quarterback can run G sweep with a read, okay? Your quarterback can run G sweep with a read, and now if this will linebacker is a runner, your quarterback can pull this, all right, and have some type of route built in to go back into the window, vacated by that backside linebacker that likes to run, okay? Usually when you package runs and passes together, there are going to be some type of short underneath quick throws because your linemen are still blocking a run play, all right? You're not checking anything at the line of scrimmage. You're going to go ahead and run that run play, whether it be G sweep, power read, whatever it is, you're going to run that and you're going to elicit a response off of, all right, a backside defender to where your quarterback might be able to pull the ball, all right, and throw some type of route off of whoever you think the conflict defender is. Okay, so you're trying to find ways to put guys in conflict, based on the way that they've been taught to play football. If you get an aggressive backside will linebacker that loves to run to the front side, all right, well now you may be able to use his own strengths against him, make him a runner, okay, and then put the ball in the void that he leaves because he's so active and he likes to run so much on the backside, okay? Now, I'm not saying that that's the formation or the play or the package you would do it out of, all right, but just in theory, those are the types of things that you can do within your own offense to place conflict on defenders, all right? One of the other things you can do, okay, with the 5 technique now, all right, is, you know, within your 1 or 2 back, if you're a shotgun or a pistol team, all right, within your 1 or 2 back theories here, okay, you can run your zone read and then your zone flex or zone kick plays off of a response. Okay, and now what you're going to do is you can go ahead and run your zone veer wherever, if you're a shotgun team and you're going to run zone, whatever it may be, okay, you can do it either way. For argument's sake, I'll put the back over here right now and I'll be a true shotgun zone read team. Well, now what we might be able to do is we might be able to run, all right, zone to the front side, okay, all right, with the zone to the front side here, okay, and now we're going to try and read the backside 5 technique and see what kind of player he is on the zone action away, see if he's a squeeze player, see if he's an up-the-field quarterback player, kind of see what his response is, all right, and then we can take the fullback, all right, and we can incorporate some type of blocking scheme into the fullback based on the response of the 5 technique on the backside. Okay, so if this 5 technique was a player who on the backside just wanted to sit for the quarterback, okay, if he's a guy that just wanted to sit for the quarterback, well, what we could do is we could bring this F back here and kick him out, all right, let the quarterback give the zone play, and then have a natural wind or maybe a bend back where we're running some type of flex or kick action, all right, from our fullback, kicking the backside guy, all right, who likes to stay and sit on the backside to play the quarterback. So if he's going to stay and sit, let's not try and get the ball around him. Let's just let him sit and kick him out. Now, if, for argument's sake, all right, he wants to be a bender and they're going to handle the quarterback a different way, for argument's sake, this 5 technique off the zone likes to be a bend player, well now you can take your F on the backside, bring him across, all right, like he was going to kick or flex that defensive end, but don't block him, keep him moving, all right, and now off of the response of the bend, go ahead and pull the ball with the quarterback and give yourself a fullback as a lead blocker, all right, because now there's probably some type of, you probably won't see it with a 3 and a 5. It's more of an A, probably an open B gap scheme. But now if this guy's a bender, you can guarantee that somebody back here has got to be able to play the quarterback, all right, whether it be him running or him replacing, whatever they want to do within their scheme. If the end's a bender, somebody's got to be the quarterback player. So now off of the scoop or the zone or the down block, okay, you can take the response of the 5 technique, all right, and you can run either zone kick or flex, or you can run zone bluff, all right, and now off of his response, you've got 2 ways to handle. If he's a sit player or a chase player, you've got 2 ways built into your natural offensive progression to handle a backside 5 technique, all right, to handle a backside 5 technique, whether it be simple zone with kick, simple zone with a backside bluff, all right, and again, All you're doing is you're calling offensive plays based on the response of the defense, based on how they're taught to play football. Okay? All right? And most times at our level in high school football, if that guy's a bender, he bends on just about every down block. All right? It's very difficult for high school players to bend in some schemes, but not bend in other schemes. All right? Not saying that they can't do it, all right? But it's a little bit more difficult with the time involved, guys playing both ways, all right? The maturity and the knowledge of the defensive end. Usually what's going to happen is you're going to try and teach a kid how he responds to a block, and you're going to try and get him to respond to that block all the time, unless you move him on a stunt, okay? So normally, a 5 technique is going to handle a down block the same way almost every time. Again, blitzes, stunts, or movements are the only things that might be contrary to that, but within a base structure, normally if the kid is a down block response player and he's going to squeeze off a down block, he's going to do it off of every down block. And that's what D linemen try to get their guys to do. They try and get through rote memory and repetition, they try and get those D linemen to say, hey, block down, this is the response. Okay, reach block, this is the response. Base block, this is the response. Okay, so what you're trying to do is see the response you can solicit out of the 5 technique on zone action. All right, and then if you're a 2-back team, you can get a back in the backfield and you can kick or wrap around the 5 technique based on the response he gives you off of the zone theory. Okay, again, it's a way for you to run base offensive schemes within your structure, all right, and it's a way for you to attack the defense based on how they are taught to play defense. Okay, now, all right, within those things, what we've talked about is we've showed you how to read him if he's a squeeze player on down blocks, all right, we've showed you how to kick him if he's an up the field player, we've showed you how to log him on true G sweeps. All right, if he is a down block squeeze player, and now you can get him sealed. All right. Another way to handle a squeeze player or a block down guy to use his technique to his advantage is to run, all right, waggles or bootlegs. Okay, run some, waggles or bootleg theories. All right, where you use his technique against him to get the ball to the perimeter. All right, and it could be like old-fashioned load option stuff. All right, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to use his technique against him to get the football where you want to get it. Okay, so let's say, all right, he is a block down, step down, squeeze guy. And you run zone theory this side, okay, and you know for a fact that he is going to be some type of block down, step down, squeeze player. So now what you do is you run a zone theory this way, you take the fullback and you pin him inside, come right back outside with some bootleg waggle stuff. Do whatever you want on the front side to get your 3 levels. Okay, you can run, some type of corner here with a return route outside, and then a backside climbing stair chair route. All right, drag, whatever you want to call it, on the backside. So a lot of things you can do off of your bootleg game outside on the front side. All right, but again, the thing is, we're getting the ball to the perimeter off of the response that we know we're going to get from the 5 technique. So we're trying to use his response, okay, against him to give him exactly what we want. All right, again, to solicit the response. We know what he wants to do off a down block. So let's go ahead and give him a down block. Let him do what he does off a down block, okay? And then, based off of what he does on a down block, all right, let's go ahead and use that technique against him. I've seen way too many teams, especially teams that are power teams, okay? They get kids that are down bending, hard bending kids, and they still try and force the power play or the counter play, all right? And they still, whether it be a guy from this side or whatever it is, they still try and force hard kickouts, okay, on a guy that they know is a hard bend squeeze player. And off the down block, all right, the good ones come down in here and they get all the way under and wrong arm this block. All right, and the offense is constantly forced with the ball bouncing, all right, and then you have offensive guys and the coordinator and the running backs coach and the O-line coach, they're all arguing with each other and going, the power's bouncing every time, why is the back bouncing it? The guard's got to get outside, he can't wrap inside, it's logged. Now that we got it logged, the guard's got to bounce it, the back's got to bounce it, they're running us down, all right, to the sideline when we bounce it. Well, part of that problem is you're trying to run kick-style plays into a hard squeeze defender. All right, so rather than let him play his technique and force your offense into his technique, have things that are built into his technique that allow your offense to thrive off of the technique that he wants to play. Okay? So if he's a block down, step down guy, have things that get to the perimeter and use his squeeze block down aggressiveness against him. Read him, seal him, do whatever you need to do to get the ball to the perimeter and put pressure on the other players. Okay? If he's an up-the-field guy, all right, if you're a team that's dead set on like jet sweeps, or, you know, maybe you're, let's say maybe you're an outside zone team, or you're, you know, you can do it from any theory you want to. I'll go back to 2-back again. Okay, and you know, you want to get the ball outside so hard. You want to get the ball wide to the best of your ability. All right, but they're playing with a kid out there that just will not allow the ball to go wide. He's an up the field player. All right, no matter what block he gets, he's up the field hard, and you're having a hard time getting the ball to the perimeter. You're trying to reach him. You're trying to do your best you can. Maybe you're having the fullback help on him. You're doing everything you can, but because he's just such an up-the-field wide player, it's just not happening. All right, well, stop banging your head against the wall trying to get the ball to the perimeter. If he's going to be a wide up-the-field player, use that against him, all right, and start bringing the football back, all right, where he is trying to get it to go, okay, and use his technique against him. Add some blockers if they have extra guys in the box, maybe because he's in hard, you know, depending on what you're seeing on defense, maybe he's a hard up-the-field player because their structure is allowing him to stay in the box. All right, maybe they're a 7-man box with a walk-down flat player or an outside, all right, an outside linebacker, okay? Well, then maybe you need to add another player into the box, okay, to get another helmet, and now bring him wider, and now he's still an up-the-field player, so now you come back, all right, whether it be ISOs, whatever you want to run, powers, okay, but now you come back and you bring the football into an area, all right, based off of the response of that 5 technique. If he's just up the field wide all the time and he's not going to allow you to get the football out there, then stop trying to run it out there. Either condense your sets to where you can pin them and pull, or if you don't condense your sets within your offense, have plays that are built off of his technique to take advantage of the things he wants to do. Okay? So don't fight as an offensive coordinator and bang your head against the wall. Okay? Don't fight him being a bend player and you keep running your power theories or your counter theories, all right, and hoping that your kids are going to respond, all right, because you're putting your kids in bad situations when every time this kid comes off a down block and squeezes hard and you're trying to get the ball underneath him with a kick or a kick here, all right, and he's just wrong-arming every single play and blowing up your fullback and your guard. All you're doing is helping the defense and helping the 5 technique's technique. You're just helping him play what he's taught to play every day. Use what he's taught to play every day against him, all right? Use that against him and do some things that'll help your offense, okay? One of the other things you want to do to a 5 technique, okay, you want to be able to at least base block him and run some type of theories up inside so that he has one more block response, all right, that he has to be able to handle. Okay, so you've given him a down block, all right? You've showed him a down block, all right? Now you've got to be able to have something within your scheme, all right, that can base block that player. You got to give him another block response that he has to handle. So now you're going to have something where you physically want to base block him here, okay? Some teams, all right, some teams like to fold it, but again, if you fold it, it becomes another down block. So give him something where you're going to base block it, all right? Whether it's true old-fashioned ISO, have something in your scheme where you are going to base block him and elicit a new response from him. So now he's got a down block that he's got to play off of, okay? Now he's got a base block that he's got to play off of, okay? You might even be able to, all right, depending on the style of offense you are or what you like to study, all right, you might even be able to give him a pull response, and you might be able to use this backside tackle now, all right? You might be able to use, if you're a 1-back team, you might be able to take and run, all right, tackle wrap schemes where you might be able to take this guy and give him a pull response in front of his face, okay? Which again is an inside release, so he's probably going to treat it like a block down, step down off a down block. But now you initiate another response from him, and you solicit that response by showing him a pull, okay? All right, so you show him a pull there. All right, so you give him another response that he's got to work off of. The next thing that you are going to want to do is you're going to want to try and reach block him and see what he does to reach blocks. Okay? All right, so you're going to try and want to have something in your scheme. It can be 2 back, it can be 1 back, doesn't really matter. All right, but you're going to want to have something in your scheme now, all right, to where you are going to try and physically hard reach this kid. And now see what his response is to the reach block. All right, see how hard he defeats the reach block. See how far he wants to run wide with the reach block. Okay, so again, what you're doing, all right, is you're trying to find out how that 5 technique plays off of different block responses. All right, you're trying to find out how he handles those blocks so that you can call good football plays off of the way he handles, all right, those blocks in front of him. Okay, now, your whole offense isn't going to be predicated on putting pressure on that 5 technique, but it's going to be predicated on conflicting defenders. Okay, you might have other schemes where you're conflicting the will. There's schemes where you're trying to conflict the mic. There might be schemes where you're conflicting the corner, the free safety. That's what it's really all about. It's trying to get your offense and your quarterback and your guys to understand who's the guy that we're really trying to put the most pressure on in this play. Okay, what are we doing to him? All right, what are we trying to put pressure and how, or where are we trying to put pressure and how, and what is his response? Based off of that, okay, that'll dictate what we do with the football. Okay, that'll dictate what we do with the football based on the response of the conflicted defender. Now, there's passing theories that you can build into conflicted defenders where you can, all right, build them off the mic, build them off the will, whoever you want. But in general, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get yourself into a system where you put conflict on a defender, you see the response that he is going to solicit off of, or the response he'll make off of the blocks that you show him, and then you're trying to call football plays within your offense that handle his responses. Okay? You build it into your passing game, and you have some things built off the mic linebacker and putting conflict on the mic. Okay? Build it into your running game, whether it's the 5, the 1, the 3. Okay? It's no different. All right? It's no different than the old-fashioned teams that used to run trap from under the center, because the 3 technique was an up-the-field player. Okay, so it's really no different, all right, when you had, all right, you had teams here that would try and physically, all right, trap, however you want to do it. You can influence and pull it, all right, you could try and get him up to the mic and influence him out, okay. But in other words, you had a 3 technique who was an up-the-field player, all right, so you had teams that were maybe under center, teams with a fullback, and they would just run simple inside trap, all right, because they knew the 3 technique was an up-the-field player. All they were doing was running good football plays based off the response the 3 technique wanted to give off of down blocks, pulls, okay. So they solicited a response from the 3 technique, and they trapped them on the backside. Okay, that's been in football for years upon years upon years, all right, and now the only thing that we've done is we've progressed, all right, we've progressed to a day and age where now we're doing it up-tempo, no huddle, and we're packaging plays together to get the responses that we want from defenders, and then we're just picking and choosing where the football goes based off the response of that defender. Okay, so again, you know, it's really not that different than some of the old-fashioned, you know, I mean, think about the wing tee and Tubby Raymond when it first started and developed, and they were sequence-style plays. They would run a play, they would solicit a response from the defense, and based on how the defense responded to that play, they knew the next play that they wanted to call. Okay? So what they were doing was they were just charting what was occurring when they ran the trap, the belly, the down, the scissors, the buck, the waggle. They saw what defenders did to those plays, and then they had a sequence of what they should call next off of those plays based on how the defenders were reacting to those plays. Well, now what we're doing, all right, in the newer or today's up-tempo spread no-huddle game is now we're packaging plays together to get the same responses and then just let the quarterback and the offensive coordinator dictate where the football goes based off the response of those defenders. So we have runs and passes packaged together, reads packaged with the quarterback where we have an outside run packaged with an inside run. All right, so we're just taking the same theories in offensive football that have always been there, all right, and what we are doing is we are just combining them and putting them into a theory where we can do multiple things and we can do them 100 miles an hour. All right? And the more and more you start to watch college and NFL games, you're going to start seeing these things be more and more prevalent. All right? You're going to try and start seeing offenses play up-tempo football. You're going to try and start seeing offenses getting defenses into base football and base defenses. And then you're going to see offenses trying to run plays based off of what they know they're going to get off of certain blocking schemes. All right, certain routes that they run based on the coverage that the other team runs. All right, and you're going to see a quarterback who is still the field general, and he's just going to pick and choose where the football goes in the run game, in the passing game. Really doesn't matter. He's going to find the guy that's in conflict. He's going to read the guy that's in conflict, and he's going to put the ball where it belongs. All right, and the good quarterbacks can manage it all day. They get up to the line. They have 2 or 3 things they're running packaged together. All right, it might be an inside zone packaged with a read by the quarterback, packaged with a screen on the front side, packaged with a hitch on the back side. All right, quarterback comes up to the ball, sees the coverage, they got the hitch wide open, boom, he throws it to the hitch. They get right up on the ball again, let's roll again, next time they run the zone. They get right up on the ball, next time they run the bubble. Okay, so what it is you're starting to see offenses constrict, all right, their play calling down into things that they can communicate in 1 or 2 words so that they can play fast. All right, and you're starting to see offenses that are trying to target and solicit responses from certain defenders and then just attack that kid all day long. So today we talked about how you can handle the 5 technique, playing off of his response from a down block, all right, the things that you can do if he's a squeeze player, the things you can do if he's an up the field player, and then trying to find ways as an offensive coordinator to run plays based off of his responses so that you don't play to his strength. All right, I think the big thing you got to do as a football coach, you got to find ways to play to your kid's strength, okay? And then you have to find a way to play against the defense's strength. Okay, don't play into their strength. If a kid's a hard squeeze player, don't keep trying to kick him out and don't keep trying to run plays underneath him when he's going to bend and wrong arm all day long. If the kid's an outside up the field player, all right, stop banging your head against the wall trying to get the ball around him all day long when he won't let it around him because he comes up the field. All right, so it comes down to having simple packages in your offense, things that your kids can execute, things that you can teach your kids, all right, and then understanding as an offensive coordinator how we are going to solicit the exact response we want from that player, all right, and then we're going to call our plays based off the response of that player. All right, again, guys, I appreciate everybody checking out everything that's been going on. All right, having a great time doing it, getting ready for our season. Hopefully, we have some more success this year. All right, and keep on with the responses and emails. Have a good time. It's fun for me to respond to emails and answer questions, or sometimes some of the responses actually make me think more about some of the things I've talked about and what we're doing. All right, so it's good to exchange information. It's good to share that information. All right, and the game within coaches should be that way if we want to make it better for our players. You should have guys that talk, share different knowledge, different information so that we can build a better game of football so that it lasts for the next 30, 40, 50 years the way it's lasted 100 years before us. All right, as we enter the season, good luck to all you guys. You might be just starting camp. Maybe you played a game. Maybe you have a game this week. Good luck to everybody out there. Keep in mind, your kids won't play well until they play fast.